What's up, everybody? It's Melly for another comic review, and today I'll be talking about Fuzzball. I'm a bit late for this one. These are my thoughts on the fifth and final installment of the Indiana Jones franchise, Indiana Jones in the Dial of Destiny, which is the upcoming action-adventure film directed by James Mangold, co-wrote with James Butterworth, John Henry Butterworth, and David Cope, which is the first time produced by Walt Disney Pictures and Lucasfilm, and distributed by the Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. This film is also a sequel to The King of the Crystal Skull back in 2008 as the fifth and final installment of the franchise, starring Harrison Ford in his final portrayal of the famed archaeologist Indiana Jones. John Rhys Davies reprised his role as Sallah from the earlier films, along with new cast members like Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Antonio Banderas, Shotred Wilson, Thomas Kretschmann, Toby Jones, and Boyd Holbrook, Ethan Isidore, and Matt McKinson. And before we begin, did you subscribe? Did you hit the bell? If so, well, we're going for one last adventure, shall we? Let's make it a good one. Now. So yeah. Now, Destiny is the first and only film in the series not directed by Steven Spielberg, nor with a story written by George Lucas, with Spielberg and Lucas serving as executive producers instead. It is also the first and only film not distributed by Paramount Pictures, as Disney acquired the film rights for the future sequels following acquisition of Lucasfilm. However, as per compensation by the deal, Paramount retained a distribution rights to the first 4 films and a residual associate credit. Plans for a 5th Jones film go back in the late 1970s when Lucas and Spielberg negotiated with Paramount for 4 sequels to Raiders of the Lost Ark back in 1981. Lucas began researching potential plot device for the 5th film in 2008. Although the project stalled for years, he passed the project to producer Kathleen Kennedy in 2012. When she became president of Lucasfilm, the progress of the 5th film remained dormant while the company worked on the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Cope eventually fired to write the 5th film in 2016, with a release date set to 2019. Although this was delayed several times due to the rewrites in 2018, Jonathan Kasdan was hired to replace Cope, who returned to write in 2019 before eventually leaving the project. Spielberg was to direct, but stepped down in 2020, with Mangold taking his place. Filming began in June of 2021, taking place at various locations in the UK, Italy, and Morocco, and wrapped in February of last year. Indiana Jones and the Dials of Destiny will have its world premiere at the 76th Cannes Film Festival on May 18th of 2023, and is scheduled to be released in the US on June 30th, 2023. So what's the premise? Well, in 1969, American archaeologist and adventurer Indiana Jones lives against the backdrops of a space race. Jones is uneasy over the fact that the U.S. government has recruited former Nazis to help beat the Soviet Union in competition to make it to space. His goddaughter, Helen Shaw accompanies him on a journey, while meanwhile Jürgen Voller, a NASA member and ex-Nazi involved with the moon landing program, wishes to make the world into a better place as he sees fit. Holy shit. As we know, we have a cast. Harrison Ford plays the famous Indiana Jones. Phoebe Waller plays Helen Shaw, Joseph's goddaughter. Mango identifies Helena as the catalyst of the film, kicking off the film's plot after dragging her godfather into a problem of hers. The filmmakers describe the character as a slippery, charming, the girl next door, a grifter, a pioneer in ethical accounting, and similar to comedic characters with machine guns. Dialogue akin to those of Ben Hitch's plays. She is also the daughter of an old friend of Indy who hasn't been shown before. We have Mads Mikkelsen as Jürgen Voller, a foreign Nazi during World War II, who has been hired by NASA and seeks to use the Apollo moon landing program for his own gain. Mikkelsen felt that Voller is a man who would like to correct some mistakes of the past with the film's MacGuffin to make the world a much better place to live in, pitting him against Indy as he wished to retrieve the artifact as well. We have Antonio Banderas as Ronaldo, an old friend of Indy who captains boats. Banderas claimed that his character isn't a villain but a good guy who would die for Indy. He enjoyed working with Ford, Mangold, and Steven Spielberg, who co-produced his past films Mask of Zorro. Banderas also pointed out that the role of Ronaldo veers more into the cameo appearance than a pivotal role part in the plot, providing Indy and his party assistance they need, but nonetheless felt grateful to be part of the franchise. We had Joan Rhys Davis as Solo, who was returning to his favorite character. Last time we saw him was in The Last Crusade, and also aided him to find the Ark of the Covenant in 1936 and the Holy Grail in 1938. We also have Shawnette Renee Wilson as Mason, a U.S. government agent. Wilson felt her character's government connections fit into the story in a similar way how the FBI and the CIA recruited black agents to infiltrate the Black Panther Party in the 1960s. If you recognize her, she played the frenemy Sorry about that. As I was saying, she played the frenemy in the series Wednesday. You know, the mermaid? That one. And we also have Thomas Kretschmann as Colonel Wilbur, a Nazi working with Voller in 1944. Toby Jones as Basil Shaw, an ally of Jones from his days during the war. And Helena's father, who was obsessed over the Dial of Destiny. We also have Boyd Holbrook as Kleber, a Voller's nefarious right-hand man in 1969. Holbrook described Kleber as a Voller's lapdog, and very crazy at that. Additionally, we have Ethan Isidore and Oliver Richter. Our cast is undisclosed. As for the production, it all started back in 1979, when George Lucas Spielberg made a deal with Paramount Pictures for 5 of the Jones films. In April 8th, Harrison said he would return as Jones for a fifth if it does not take another 20 years to develop, referring to the development of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which came out in 2008, which was released a month later. The film introduced the character Mutt Williams, who played by Shia LaBeouf. Producers suggest that the idea to make Williams the lead character in the fifth film, but later decided against this. Lucas said that Ford's age would not be an issue in making another film, saying it's not like he's an old man. He's incredibly agile. He looks even better than he did in his 20 years ago. Lucas began researching potential plots device for another film in 2008 and stated that Spielberg was open to direct it, as he had done the previous films. Explaining the process for each film, Ford said, and I quote, "We come to some basic agreement, and then George goes away for a long time and works on it. Then Steven and I get it in some form, some embryonic form. Then if we like it, we start working with George on it. At some point down the line, it's ready and we do it." Lucas stressed the importance of having a MacGuffin that is supernatural, but still grounded in reality with an archaeological or historical background, saying you can't just make something up, like a time machine. Speaking about the previous film of the franchise, Future, Lucas said, "We still have an issue about the direction we like to take. I'm in the future, Steven's in the past. He's trying to drag it back to the way they were. I'm trying to push it into a whole different place, so still we have a sort of tension." Later in 2008, Ford stated that Lucas' concept for the fifth film was crazy but great. In November 2010, Ford said that Lucas was still working on the project. In July 2012, producer Frank Marshall stated that the project had no writer and said about its progress, "I don't know if it's definitely not happening, but it's not up and running." In October 2012, the Walt Disney Company acquired Lucasfilm, giving the parent company ownership rights to the Indiana Jones intellectual property. In 2013 of December, Walt Disney Studios purchased distribution and marketing rights to the future Jones films from Paramount, with the latter studio retaining the distribution rights to the first four films and receiving financial participation for any additional films. The film became the first in the Indiana Jones series, co-produced by Walt Disney Pictures and Lucasfilm. With the 2012 acquisition, Lucas passed Indiana Jones 5 to new Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy. Lucasfilm planned to focus on the Star Wars franchise before working on the fifth Jones film. In May of 2015, Kennedy confirmed Lucasfilm would eventually make another Indiana Jones film. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull ended positively for Indiana Jones with his marriage to Marilyn Ravenwood. However, Ford did not necessarily view the film as the definitive ending for Jones, wishing to make one more film that could expand the character and conclude his journey. According to Kennedy, "We all felt that if we could conclude the series with one more movie, given the fact Harrison was so excited to try to do another one, we should do it." Kennedy, Spielberg, and Ford had discussed sorry. As I was saying, had discussed a couple of story ideas by the end of 2015. Which, yeah. As for pre-production, March 2016, Disney announced The fifth film will be released in 2019, with Ford reprising his role. Spielberg will be directing it, and Kennedy and Marshall as producers. Ford was paid $10 to $12 million for its involvement, which, started doing little hold-ups over the years. Skipping to 2017, the film release date was pushed back in 2020, as Spielberg was busy working on Ready Player One back in 2018 and Post in 2017. Oh boy. Cope said we got a script we're mostly happily with, and confirmed that LaBeouf character but Williams would not appear in the film. Spielberg set Indiana Jones 5 as his next film, with production set in the UK in 2019. However, the filming was pushed back as the final script had yet been ready. And also in 2018, Lucasfilm met with sorry, people, just having a bad allergy. But continuing. Back in 2018, Lucasfilm with screenwriters Scott Beck and Brian Wood for an open canvas talk included the Indiana Jones Star Wars establishing original franchise. Marshall said that a lot of people had pitched the idea for the film. Jonathan Kasdan was eventually hired to replace Cope in mid-2018 and with a new release date in 2021. Back in 2019, it was rumored that writer Dan Fogelman would take over. In September 2019, Cope announced that he had rejoined the producing as a writer, saying that the filmmakers had a good idea this time. Cope ultimately wrote 2 versions of the film, but neither were approved. He said the efforts to produce the film had failed because of disagreement between Spielberg, Ford, and Disney regarding the script. In February 2020, Spielberg stepped down as director as he wanted to pass the film series to a new filmmaker for a fresh perspective. Kennedy later said that Spielberg was kind of off and on about directing the project, although he did remain as a hands-on producer. Which I kind of agree. Although he did, film had been scheduled later in 2020. Although the film release was subsequently delayed in 2022 to eventually 2023, the pandemic. James Mangold was selected to be director, and also he began working on this new script. For suggesting Spielberg Kennedy to hire Mangold to take over the directing duties, owing to his existing friendship due to Mangold offering the part in Ford versus Ferrari in 2019, and the two have worked together in The Call of the Wild in 2020. Cope departed the film project again after Spielberg stepped down, saying it seemed like the right time to let Jim have his own take on it and have his own person or himself write it. Mangold wrote the new screenplay with John Henry Butterworth, who worked with him previously on Ford vs. Ferrari. Among previous films, Mangold cited Raiders of the Lost Ark as his biggest inspiration while making Dial of Destiny. He consulted with Lucas and Spielberg, who served as executive producers, recalling advice that Spielberg offered. Mangold said it's a movie that is a trailer from the beginning to end, always been moving. It's gonna be a lot because they've been goots. For example, let's talk about the trailer release. As you know, the trailer was released back in October, I think. I can't remember. But we don't know. It's set to have a world premiere at the 76th Cannes Film Festival on May 18th of this year. No, this month. And theatrical release in the US starting June 30th of this year by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. And taking the then planned release of the Marvel Cinematic Universe unproduced Inhumans film by Marvel Studios, but was delayed on April 2017th to July 10th of 2020 with a live-action remake of Lion King, which we all know how that worked out, which was delayed due to the impact of COVID-19 in the film industry. Disney CEO Bob Iger said in 2016 that the future of the franchise with Ford was unknown, that the fifth film would not be the final installment in the franchise in 2022. Kennedy referred earlier comments that Ford's role as Indiana Jones would not be recast, while Ford confirmed that the fifth film will be his last in the series in 2022. Disney consider multiple options to continue the franchise, including additional films or television series. However, March 2023 was reported that the has canceled the plan of Indiana Jones spin-off to focus on Star Wars franchise. The series was said to be a prequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark and would have been the second prequel series following the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. Disney confirmed the following month that the film will indeed be the last in the current franchise. Wow. But yeah, there's been a lot. As for inspiration, let's just say for Van Gogh, got inspiration during the time during the Cold War, the space race, the nuclear powers, in the fourth film, and also the intrigue of black and white morality. To me, it sounds like pretty cool, including the presence of ex-Nazis involved in the U.S. government moon landing program, which, remember, the U.S. managed to immigrate 4 Nazi scientists to help NASA to beat the Russians in the space race. So I kind of like that plot right there. But just see how it goes. Declare good guys and bad guys. Now everything's great. And this is from a quote from Mangold, when he saw portray an accurate and realistic appraisal where the characters would be at the time in his life, described Jones as a hero who used to a black and white world. When it comes to villains, who now find himself in a gray world with lack of clear good guys and bad guys. Just but worth noting the presence of ex-Nazis involved in the U.S. government moon landing program. This makes Jones grow distrustful of his country, feeling like a man out of time. The era which idealism is gone. But yeah, folks, as you know, it's also confirmed that in 2016, Steven Spielberg confirmed that John Williams, who scored the previous film, The Indiana Jones franchise, will return to compose the film for the fifth film. In 2022, Williams stated that it will be his final film score following plans for retirement. Though he later backtracked on his decision, Williams premiered one of his compositions, Hela's Theme, at the Hollywood Bowl on September 2nd, 2022, at Mangold's request. Which, let's see if Williams was confirmed to be the composer here. Yep, John Williams. Music by John Williams. So this will be his final one before retirement. So it'll be pretty cool. because he did the final score for Star Wars Episode 9. This will be his final score for Indiana Jones 5. So, of course, it would be a better send off to the great the great maestro. But yeah, let me what you think of for the upcoming film this for next month, because this is gonna be interesting. I know the fourth film involves the Cold War. Now we're having the space race. But yeah, let me know what you think of the trailer. I know it's been, well, way late. But tell me all about it. You still hope this film might be good? Who knows? But let me know in the comments down below. I kind of like they brought back the Nazis, especially the Nazi scientists that were supposed to build the atomic bomb, but they didn't do it. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below, and also if you're new to the channel, remember to subscribe, hit the bell, like this video, and also give a like to this video. Every now our goal is to hit 1 million subscribers or at least 500k, because this month is our 11th anniversary here on YouTube from 2013 to 2023. So let's do this. Until then, have a great day, everybody. Stay safe, stay cool, and don't go nuts. Until then, see ya.